Logging in from the futuristic recesses of the internet, it is the Net Navi type RockTrans and the first of the collaboration units to come in this event coming on 8/3 as of day of recording, and he is coming to the game with Cybercore, Charge Buster, Slash, Biped Legs, and the leg ability of All Rounder. Now, right from start, RockTrans makes it very clear that his specialty and his exclusivity is for balance and an all-round kit of shooting and melee, which honestly reflects very well on the original inspiration, the original Rockman EXE that he is based off of. Cybercore is essentially a radar sight, which is 30% boost to success rate of all allies, as well as removing any conceal or stealth effects from the opponents. So definitely make use of that as well for a solid general support skill. Charge Buster is really nothing new that we haven't seen thus far. It has a base damage that goes up relative to the amount of your Metaforce gauge, but also consumes a chunk of it upon use. At 5-star, only consumes 5% power. So of course you want to try to be sure to pair that with a Hunter or Sniper Nature Metal for Metaforce sustain. Left arm, however, is a brand new attack to the game called Slash, which targets the closest enemy to the command line, regardless of stealth effect applied or not. It also scales damage relative to the target's proximity to the command line. So this means if you maybe just barely outrun them to the line, but you get to take your turn first, you are going to be dealing the highest damage possible with that modifier. However, if you are faster than your target and they are farther away from the line when you go to take your turn, you are not going to deal nearly as much damage as intended with your attack. Unfortunately, the other drawback to Slash is that it does not have pierce damage, which does kind of hurt his overall viability just a little bit. Biped Legs with the ability of All-Rounder, though, is honestly really nice and melds very nicely with his already well-rounded kit with supporting, shooting, and melee. Fantastic stats overall, though, with the legs, too. Base mobility of 904 is a fantastic start already. Evade stat of a 1087 also is really nice. The all-rounder ability, in addition to that, also buffs leg stats further if all equipped parts on the build are of different skills. So in this case, like with RockTrans as a pure set, he will be able to make use of that ability immediately. Another example of this that we've seen in the past is Turbulent, the RYM type that has been in the game since launch, or Wind Clap, another limited gacha, the Griffin type that debuted in Megaman Navi. Now overall, his pure set score is honestly pretty good. I'd say you generally can't go wrong with using him as a pure set if you have to or are forced to. Ranking about a 7 out of 10 maybe. He's got some pretty decent spread overall. His only drawback, however, is that because he specializes in both one or the other, it is going to make spreading the skill levels on his metal a little tricky. My personal recommendation would be to focus primarily on his shooting ability more than his melee, especially given that Slash does not have pierce damage on it. So if you are going to use him as a pure set, try focusing on your shooting ability more than your melee. Maybe use Slash as that extra ability to make use of whenever you can't use Charge Buster or it's just not overall viable to use. Cybercore also is pretty solid as a support skill for the team all around, so generally can't go wrong with that. As mixed parts, however, I also would rank him a 7 out of 10 as an equal score, as well, pretty much for the same reason that he has such a mixed kit. As whether you use him as a mixed set or as pure set, you generally can't go wrong with any of his parts. As a whole, they all have some pretty decent stat spread all around, decent damage, decent heat, cool, fantastic stats on those legs too. The only drawback I particularly see with RockTrans that might end up hurting him in more extended battles is the fact that he is just a little bit squishy with that HP, having about 3,400 for the head, about 3,100 for the legs, and just barely 2,900 per arm, which puts him maybe lower tier in terms of the armor and survivability, but he does make up for it with some fantastic stat spread and some pretty high heat and cool stats, so even if he may not have the highest armor possible, he is going to have speed on his side for sure.